Lakers Nation, what is going on? The Lakers may have another interesting option at small forward, and this one could actually make a lot of sense for Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. A new trade idea has the Lakers landing Cameron Johnson from the Denver Nuggets in a three-team deal involving the Charlotte Hornets. And honestly, I think this is a trade the Lakers should at least seriously consider. Because this isn't just about adding another name to the roster. It is about finding a wing who actually fits next to Luka and Reeves. So let's break down the situation with Peyton Watson and why all three teams could potentially agree to this deal. According to a new Heavy.com article, the proposed trade would have the Lakers receiving Cameron Johnson. The Nuggets would receive Jaden Hardy, Jake LaRavia, Dalton Connect, and a 2032 first-round pick swap from the Lakers. And the Charlotte Hornets would receive Jarred Vanderbilt along with a 2033 second-round pick from Los Angeles. Now obviously this is a proposed trade. This is not saying the Lakers are actively making this deal or that Cameron Johnson is coming to Los Angeles. But the idea itself is definitely worth talking about. Especially because Denver appears increasingly focused on keeping Peyton Watson. Watson is reportedly looking for a contract worth more than $22 million per year, and Denver needs to find a way to make the money work. And that's where Cameron Johnson becomes extremely interesting. Let's start with the Lakers. The biggest reason I like this for Los Angeles is fit. The Lakers already have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Those two guys are going to have the ball in their hands a lot. So I don't think the Lakers necessarily need another starter who constantly needs the ball to be effective. That's where Cameron Johnson makes sense. Johnson can give you size on the wing. He can knock down shots. He can move without the basketball. And most importantly, he can play alongside high-level ball handlers without needing to dominate possessions. Imagine Luka bringing the ball up the court. Reeves is on the other side. And Cameron Johnson is sitting on the wing waiting for a defensive mistake. If the defense helps too much on Luka, Johnson can punish them from three. And that's exactly the type of player you want surrounding Luka Doncic. Now I also think Johnson gives the Lakers something they don't necessarily get from Quentin Grimes. Grimes is a very talented player, and I actually like what he can bring to this roster. But he's more comfortable creating with the ball and making plays. Johnson gives you more of that traditional big wing presence. He's bigger. He's a natural floor spacer. And he gives you another player who can make defenses pay for leaving him open. That's extremely important when your best player is Luka. You don't want defenders constantly collapsing into the paint because they aren't worried about the guys around him. You want Luka surrounded by shooters. And Cameron Johnson fits that philosophy really well. Now, would I give up everything in this trade without thinking about it? Absolutely not. Losing Dalton Connect is something I would have to think about. And giving up another future asset always matters. But if the Lakers believe Cameron Johnson can be their starting three for the next few seasons, I understand why they would make the move. Now let's talk about Denver, because this trade actually makes a lot of sense for them too. The biggest reason is Peyton Watson. Denver reportedly wants to keep Watson. But if Watson's asking price is north of $22 million annually, Denver needs to create financial flexibility. Moving Cameron Johnson could help them do exactly that. And instead of simply losing Johnson and getting nothing back, Denver gets multiple young players. They would receive Jaden Hardy, Jake LaRavia, Dalton Connect, and a 2032 first-round pick swap. That's a pretty interesting return when you consider what Denver is trying to accomplish. Hardy gives them another young guard who can potentially develop into a scoring option. LaRavia gives them another young piece who can compete for minutes. And Connect is probably the player that catches my attention the most. Because he's still young and has the potential to become a very useful shooter and scorer. Denver could look at these players as developmental pieces rather than expecting all three to become immediate starters. And there's another important part of this. The Nuggets could potentially move on from these contracts later if things don't work out. So from Denver's perspective, this is less about getting one superstar back for Cameron Johnson. It's about turning one player into multiple controllable pieces while creating the financial room they need to keep Peyton Watson. And if Denver believes Watson is a major part of their future, that could be the deciding factor. Then we have Charlotte. And honestly, the Hornets are probably the team that needs the most explanation here. Because at first glance you might ask, why would Charlotte want Jarred Vanderbilt? Well, I think the answer is defense and another veteran presence. Vanderbilt has had injury problems, and that obviously makes this a risk. But when healthy, he can still give you a lot defensively. He's long. He's athletic. He can guard multiple positions. And he can bring energy to a second unit that could use a defensive-minded veteran. Charlotte is a young team. So having someone who can come off the bench and give them defensive intensity could actually be valuable. And the Hornets also get a future second-round pick for taking on Vanderbilt. So they're not just doing this for free. They're getting an additional asset while potentially giving themselves a useful defensive piece. For Charlotte, this isn't about winning the trade on headlines. It's about adding an asset and seeing whether Vanderbilt can stay healthy and contribute. Now here's where I personally stand on this trade. If I'm the Lakers, I'm definitely picking up the phone. I would seriously consider doing this. But I wouldn't call it a perfect trade. My biggest concern is giving up Dalton Connect. I still think Connect has a chance to become a really good shooter and rotation player for this Lakers team. So if you're giving him up along with Hardy Laravia and a future pick swap, Cameron Johnson has to be someone the Lakers are extremely confident in. But from a basketball fit standpoint, I really like it. Luka Doncic doesn't need another player who has to have the ball. He needs guys who can shoot, defend, and make smart decisions without taking possessions away from him. Cameron Johnson checks a lot of those boxes. And if the Lakers believe he can consistently knock down shots while giving them more size on the wing, I think the fit could be better than people realize. So my final verdict: I would give this trade serious consideration if I'm the Lakers. Denver gets the financial flexibility to keep Peyton Watson. Charlotte gets a veteran defender and a future second-round pick. And the Lakers get a starting caliber wing who could fit extremely well next to Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. The biggest question is whether Cameron Johnson is worth giving up all of those young pieces and another future asset. Because if the Lakers make this move, they're betting that Johnson is the missing piece at the 3. Personally, I think the fit is definitely there. And if this is the type of move the Lakers are considering to build around Luka, I wouldn't be mad at it at all. Let me know what you guys think. Would you trade for Cameron Johnson or keep Dalton Connect and the other pieces? And do you think Cameron Johnson is actually the right starting small forward for the Lakers? Let me know in the comments.